guys in on a little secret, because this is a pretty big deal for me today. This is, well, you guys are my first ever actual official live and in-person audience, thanks to COVID, hence the little prompt cards just in case. I hope you won't need them, but you know, I figure I might as well help myself out. I'm going to be a little bit interactive, just to make sure you are all paying attention and awake and everything. So, I wanted to start, firstly, with just a little show of hands for you guys. So, who is here, who plans to work within the equestrian industry when they've finished? Show of hands, not a trick question. So you plan to work in the equestrian industry when they're finished. Okay, so quite a lot of you, not necessarily all of you, but quite a lot of you. Who is here because actually they've got no idea what they want to do, but horses are expensive and probably going to need a job with a degree that's going to, you know, pay for your expensive hobby, and why not have some horses to play with along the way? Who's that? Who doesn't really know what they want to do? Probably the rest of you that didn't want to work in the equestrian industry, right? I was exactly the same. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I never planned to work within the equestrian industry. I did the pretty standard, go to school, get some GCSEs, do my A-levels, come to uni, get a degree, and then I went off to find that job that would hopefully fund quite an expensive passion. I'm still working on that one. But I have sat in the seats where you guys are, like I said. I've ridden around this arena. I've had lectures in those rooms over there. So I was exactly that person as well. I had no idea what I wanted to do. This is going to sound really cheesy, and I'm sure everybody's already told you this, but the things you learn here will be the foundations of your future equestrian life. Whether that's in a professional sense or a personal sense. Everything that you learn here will build upon what you already know, it will build upon your experience that you already have with horses, and hopefully give you just that little bit extra. Now, I don't know if this is the same as when I was here or not, but the course that had the highest uptake, so the course that had the most number of students on it when I was here, was the therapy and rehab course. So in my year, I was the last year before the fees went up, so there was a ton of students here when I first came. In my year, there was 130 students in total, and 90 of those were on the therapy and rehabilitation course. Right, that's insane. 90 of those 130 students were doing therapy and rehab. Now, I think that's possibly because that seems like the only degree that, at the end of it, seems to have a job, right? Seems to have a profession at the end of it. So, shout out at me, just shout at me. Can you name some more jobs within the equestrian industry? Anyone? It's not a trick question, guys. Come on, name me some. Groom, okay, yeah, so like what, freelance groom, grooming for riders, you know, professional riders, yeah, okay. Farrier, okay, that's quite niche, yeah, that could be a whole industry within itself, yeah. Any more? Yeah. Physio, yeah, so going back to the therapy, yeah, definitely. Any more? Yeah. What's that? A vet, yeah, okay, so again, quite a big, broad spectrum there. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that although the equestrian industry is absolutely enormous, there's not really that many kind of jobs that you can pinpoint. So even though the industry is so massive, it's a very broad place to try and pick a job role to aim for or to aspire to be. Now, as a student, I don't think I find that all that inspiring. So all of you said that you wanted to work within the equestrian industry, and yet just then there's only 4 of you that can shout out a single job role. So, let's build on that a little bit. Again, I realise it's going to sound corny. I am here to tell you that you don't need to know how, you don't need to know what. If you want to work within the equestrian industry, you can create your own niche. You create your own opportunities. So remember that phrase, that's my little buzzword. Now, obviously I'm here to tell you a lot about me, I'm here to talk all about myself and what I do. If you asked me what I actually do you know what, in all honesty, I don't think I could really tell you. So let's break that down. I called myself Francis Dixon, Independent Equine Consultancy. Francis Dixon, obviously that's me, I'm a personal brand, this is what I do. But the term Independent Equine Consultancy, I chose that specifically because it's very broad. I'm a very diverse person. Variety is the spice of life. I like to do lots and lots of different things. And I didn't really want to park myself just in that one job role, as it were. I wanted to educate people and share my knowledge and experience of what I knew with anybody and everybody. I wanted to, well, just like you guys, hopefully, inspire that next generation of equestrians. So, I started, well, this all kind of initially came about. I'm at a yard where there's probably about, it's a big yard, there's probably about 60 boxes. So 60 boxes, that's quite big for a little yard. And when I'd kind of done my degree, people started coming to me for advice. They started to ask questions. They obviously recognised that I had done an equestrian degree and knew what I was talking about. They'd seen I was a pretty good rider. You can ask Monica about my ex-race horse Maz that I had at the college. She wasn't the easiest of rides. If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I've had Nutmeg, my horse, since she was just 5 months old, and I backed and trained her myself. So they knew I was a pretty decent rider. They knew that I could make a pretty educated guess. They knew I had some knowledge and knew what I was talking about. And I started to think to myself, do you know what, like, people could pay me for this. Like, Christ, I mean, if I can pay for someone to come and speak to their horse's ancestors or something, they can definitely pay me for my knowledge. Now, that's no discredit to any equine communicators out there. The point I'm trying to make is that horse owners, I mean myself included, will spend their money. They will spend it on things that they want to know more about. Now, if you imagine your average horse owner, they don't have an equestrian degree. They don't know how the horse's digestive system works. And if you don't know the anatomy and physiology of the digestive system, and I'm a bit of a self-confessed anatomy nerd, and I realise how sad that is, they are probably going to feed their horse based on a feed manufacturer's latest marketing campaign. They're not going to know what actually is going on in there. If they don't know about their horse's distal limb or the tendons and ligaments in that, they're not really going to know about injuries or how to prevent them. So I had to keep reminding myself how much actually, how much I actually know. So I would like to think of myself as the person that bridges that gap between your average horse owner and, let's say, maybe your vet or your farrier or, I don't know, the instructor. I'm bridging that gap between these professions. So I won't pretend to know everything, but chances are I can have a pretty educated guess at what might be wrong with your horse or what you can do about it to make it better. So, going back to what I actually do, I always joke that I never wanted to be a riding instructor because people don't listen, but horses do. So what I actually wanted to do was be a horse trainer. I wanted to train horses instead. However, if you kind of look at market demand, people wanted me to teach them. Again, they recognised I was a pretty confident rider, and maybe they wanted some of that confidence and to work out why I was so confident and what they could do about it. And as it would happen, I actually appeared to be quite a good teacher. So that's something that I do. I'm a freelance rider, instructor, and teacher. I am also associated with Equilibrium products. I don't know if you've heard of them, hopefully you have. And originally I was going to be part of their show staff team, but COVID obviously put a bit of a stop to that one. But we kept in touch, and some of you are probably going to roll your eyes at me now. I'm one of those really annoying people that can sit down and just write like a full-page essay. I'm quite good at writing. But I started doing some copywriting for them. Now that's not that little like see at the top things that's trademark. Copywriting is actually writing the copy, so writing content for things like blogs or magazines or websites. So I started doing some writing for them, and they would pay me for that. I got paid for my skill, which was writing. So just start thinking about what you're good at and what you're passionate about. Just kind of have that as a little question just in mind. Another thing that I did during COVID-19 was start doing webinars just online. I started with just a couple of my friends, and I based these webinars webinars on just topics of interest that I thought the average horse owner might be interested in knowing more about. And this was just based on things that I'd learned during my degree. There was things like laminitis, equine gastric ulcer syndrome, bits of anatomy, things like that. Social media makes the world a hell of a lot smaller. I had somebody awake at 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia listening to me talk about laminitis. I had people, there was someone from Spain, there was someone from France, I think it was. There was people up and down the UK listening to my webinars, and again, making money from that. And that was something I was passionate about, sharing my knowledge and my experience. Another thing that I'm passionate about, which we're going to see soon by the looks of it, is groundwork. Now, as a person that wants to be predominantly a horse trainer who loves training horses and understanding their behaviour, training to me doesn't just start from tacking up and riding around in an arena. It starts from the ground. It's the way that your horse greets you in the morning and you greet them. It's proprioception, so we're going to do some things with poles, I think, as well. Proprioception, if you don't know, is just the awareness of your body in space. So that's something that I'm also passionate about. And again, that people would pay me for. Now, a lot of people also ask me, what else have you done alongside your degree? What qualifies you? Well, again, I was one of those really annoying people that decided to do some qualifications during lockdown. So the things that I was passionate about was horse behaviour, and the things that people were wanting from me was rider confidence. So I am now a certified equine psychologist, and that just gave me, in my mind, that bit of paper, that credibility that had built upon what I'd already learned as part of my degree studies. That just set me apart a little bit more. I am also a certified NLP practitioner. Has anyone ever heard of NLP before? Anyone? No one? No one before? Oh my god. You need to learn about NLP, it's amazing. So, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. This probably isn't going to sound all that politically correct, but my other half likes to refer to it as psychobabble bullshit. I like to refer to it as the way that your inner voice sort of speaks to your inner self. So you can be your own worst critic, or you can be your greatest cheerleader. It's all about the messages that your mind is telling yourself inside. Now when it comes to riding, as I said, a lot of people would come to me asking for advice because they were nervous or they weren't confident. So having that NLP practitioner qualification, again, just set me apart. So if you asked me again, what do? I would probably introduce myself as an equine psychologist and NLP practitioner. Because in the grand scheme of my independent equine consultancy, they are the bits that set me apart. So just again, a question for you to think about. What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? If you could make a difference in the equestrian world, what would that be and why? So just start thinking about that afterwards, after we leave it. I founded my business upon what I call the 4 key aspects of the overall equestrian picture. And these were things that I picked out from my experience and my time at uni that I think are the most important and that what every horse owner should know. If you can get these 4 things right, you should have a pretty healthy, happy and harmonious relationship with your horse. So those things are nutrition, what you put in is what you get out, behaviour, what I'm passionate about and what I like to know that I think everybody would benefit from knowing, management, so that's your horse's everyday to-day life, that's when you're shod, barefoot, kept in, kept out, all of that kind of thing, their day-to-day life. And then finally comes the training. So that's from the groundwork, that's maybe me giving ridden lessons and coaching. So even though I'm very broad, and I specifically chose to be broad and an all-encompassing person that could tell you a bit about everything, I created my own niche in the fact that I want to educate people on these 4 key aspects. I want to help riders be more confident, and I also want to help train horses to have that more harmonious life. So they're the things that set me apart. Now, to kind of bring things to a little bit of a close before we get on to the demo, this is the cheesy bit again. And I'm I'm sure people are doing this. We are all here because we have that one shared passion. We have that one thing in common, which is the horse. And you will make friends here that you will have for the rest of your life. You know, when you're hungover and you've been out the night before and you're all sat around eating some hangover food, you'll be talking about your horses and thinking, oh my god, I've got to get up so early and go sort them out, I can't bother. You will all be able to have that same conversation. You'll be cheering each other on, you know, at competitions and things like that. You're not just going to be that odd random horse girl out with your friends that likes to show pictures of your horse to everybody and anybody. And that community is what got me to be standing here today, to be talking in front of you guys. That community between all of you is what makes the equestrian industry such an amazing place to be part of. So going back to my question that I said before, you can create your own niche, you can create your own opportunities. And I'm not saying all of you have to go and be, you know, business entrepreneurs and be self-employed and do all of this. But just start thinking about what you're passionate about, what you're interested in. Think about your skills that you have, because people will pay you for your skills. The equestrian world is finally going more online. Maybe you're really into graphic design, maybe you could be a website builder, maybe you could be branding and, you know, logos and things like that. Maybe you could go into marketing. Maybe some of you already have your own social media platform and that you could potentially social media manage another companies. So yes, okay, we've got all of the classic buzzwords, the jobs that we had to begin with, but there is so much more to that out there, and you can easily tap into that and find your niche within that equestrian industry. So before we get on to the demo, which we're going to be doing, with these two horses that we've stood here nice and patiently for all this time. If you don't already follow me on social media, by the way, I am at FD Equine Consult on Instagram, where you can search the hashtag FDIEC. I think there's some random guy's car on that from like 2014, but that's not me. And on Facebook, it's just Francis Dixon Independent Equine Consultant.